Hello everyone, this is Moja Blue. Zdravo svima, ja sam Moja Blue. Thank you for joining me. This video is going to be about cases and this is the second part, so please go back and check out the first part because without it you're not going to be able to understand what I'm talking about. Well, you will some things, but I explain a lot over there. And today we're going to be covering the last 3 columns that we had in our table, and as always I'm going to be using a context, so the same context I used in the last video. So I'm not going to use the question words that I usually use when I want to detect which case it is or how I should change the noun, but I'm actually going to use the sentences. So let's repeat what they are. Okay. Nominative is noun is beautiful. So when I say noun, I mean this is where you're going to insert your noun that you want to change. Noun je lep. I am away from noun. Ja sam daleko od noun. I'm going towards noun. Idem ka noun. I see noun. Vidim something, right? And again, as I explained, for vocative, we have a saying gde si, which is basically what's up, where have you been, where are you, literally translated, but we're not actually asking you where you are because we can see you. So gde si or desi. Instrumental, I am with something or noun. Ja sam sa, noun. And the last one, locative, is a hat is on a noun. Šešir je na noun. And this is how we're going to be covering them because I feel like it's a bit more beneficial for you to actually know the context. Sure, you can Google the question words if you want to. I use slightly different question words than maybe someone else, but I feel as a foreigner and a learner of Serbian, you're probably not going to use them instinctively, so maybe it's better to have some sort of sentence where you actually use the noun in a proper case. So the second column is still class 1, but here we have neuter nouns and masculine nouns that end in E and O. So for example, the noun telo in Serbian, which is body, like a human body, is actually neuter. So let's see what the declension is so you can see and detect what the endings are. Telo je lepo. Ja sam daleko od tela. Idem ka telu. Vidim telo. Gde si telo? Ja sam sa telom. And šešir je na telu. Another noun in neuter is polje, which is a field, and because it ends in E or E, as we would say it in Serbian, in instrumental you don't use but em. So let's see how that goes. Polje je lepo. Ja sam daleko od polja. Idem ka polju. Vidim polje. Gde si polje? Ja sam sa poljem. And šešir je na polju. And of course we have a noun in masculine that ends in O, which is for example a car, auto, and in this case it goes pretty much the same as in telo that we use for neuter nouns that end in O, so these are the same endings. And let's cover them. Auto je lep. Ja sam daleko od auta. Idem ka autu. Vidim auto. Gde si auto? Ja sam sa autom. And šešir je na autu. But I still wanted to mention one exception, which is where things get a bit interesting. So if you want to say a table in Serbian, you would say sto. Yeah, I know it's pretty much the same as you say the number 100, but here when you change the noun, you actually have to add the letter L to go over all the cases. So the reason for that is because somewhere people say sto and somewhere people say stol. And I think this is the reason why we have that L that is kind of like left over and disappeared in our dialect. So let's see how it looks like. Sto je lep. Ja sam daleko od stola. As you can see here, we have L before A. Idem ka stolu, vidim sto, gde si sto, ja sam sa stolom, and šešir je na stolu. And as you already know, we do have some masculine nouns that end in O and also masculine proper nouns, for example, Marko. Let's see how Marko looks like when he goes through all the cases. Marko je lep, ja sam daleko od Marka, idem ka Marku, vidim Marka, gde si Marko, ja sam sa Markom, šešir je na Marku. Let's move on to class 2, which is actually the column number 3 that we had in our table. And this is nouns that end in A, be it feminine or masculine. So yeah, we have nouns that are in masculine that end in A. Let's use a noun that is feminine in Serbian, like a glass, which is čaša in Serbian. As you can see, it is pretty transparent. So most of the nouns that you will encounter that end in A are usually feminine. Not necessarily, but usually. So čaša would go like this. Čaša je lepa, ja sam daleko od čaše, idem ka čaši, vidim čašu, gde si čašo, ja sam sa čašom, and šešir je na čaši. And as you've seen, we have proper nouns for guys in Serbian that not only end in O, but also end in A. And this one that I will present is a nickname, which is Pera, and a nickname for the name Petar, actually. Let's see how the declension would look like. Pera je lep, ja sam daleko od Pere, idem ka Peri, vidim Peru, gde si Pero, ja sam sa Perom, and šešir je na Peri. Some other masculine nouns that end in A are nouns that are usually used for some sort of like trade. So for example, we have a judge in Serbian, which is sudija. Even though it ends in A, it is still masculine. And this is the type of nouns that belong to this class or the second class, so let's see how they look like. Sudija je lep, ja sam daleko od sudije, idem ka sudiji, vidim sudiju, gde si sudio, ja sam sa sudijom, and šešir je na sudiji. But I also want to mention that there are some nouns that are feminine and that are used for countries. So for example, the noun Grčka, which is Greece in Serbian, ends in A and it is a feminine noun. So let's see how the endings look like with this one. Grčka je lepa, ja sam daleko od Grčke, idem ka Grčkoj. So as you can see here, we add oj, which is slightly different, and it's going to repeat one more time. Vidim Grčku, gde si Grčko, ja sam sa Grčkom, and šešir je na Grčkoj. I'm quite aware that some of these contexts are not really appropriate for each example that I have, but I really just want to repeat them so that you understand what they mean and to kind of like leave it ingrained in your body and make it easier for you to repeat them and to learn them. The last class and the third class is a class with nouns that are feminine but end in a consonant. Usually these nouns are used for certain notions and abstract actually notions. So usually they're not tangible things. One example is the word a thing in Serbian, so stvar. So usually we use it in the abstract sense, a thing we talked about, for example. And let's see what the endings are. So this class is supposed to be the easiest one for you to learn because there's not as many endings. They're pretty straightforward. Of course, there is one exception that I will mention, but let's see how stvar or thing can be changed. Stvar je lepa. Ja sam daleko od stvari. Idem ka stvari. Vidim stvar. Gde si stvari? Ja sam sa stvari, and šešir je na stvari. Yeah, you only add I or E in Serbian to certain nouns. There you go. A slight exception that we have is a noun youth or mladost in Serbian. And let's see where the difference lies. Mladost je lepa. Ja sam daleko od mladosti. Idem ka mladosti. Vidim mladost. Gde si mladosti? Ja sam sa mladošću. This is where the difference is. And šešir je na mladosti. As you've already seen, we have feminine and masculine nouns that end in consonants. So how do you know which one is which? Well, mostly the ones that are abstract are feminine nouns. But if you encounter some nouns that are incoming, and that means that they're borrowings from other languages like hardware, software, stress, and end in a consonant, that they are most likely from the first class. So usually they get adopted as a masculine noun. And of course, as always, I have a task for you. So I want you to change these nouns according to cases, and I want you to write the answers in the comments below. So let's see what the task is. We have a noun Darko, which is a proper noun Nikola, then Ljubav, and Mesto. I'm curious to see what your response is, what your answers are. I want you to learn from each other. If you have any more examples, feel free to write them down in the comments below. As I said, this is not an exhaustive list. There are so many more exceptions, and you can conceptualize this division according to different theories. So this is not the only way how you can look at noun declension. So let's learn from each other. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you really learned something from this, and see you in the next one. Pozdrav!